guys, and thank you for joining the Tiny Homestead again. As you guys know, this is more of not just a gardening channel, even though that is one of our hobbies. It is actually also very much a channel about our life, what kind of animals we have, how we treat them, how we just do life as a really tiny homestead as a family of four. And as you might have seen in my previous video, I introduced a little foster bunny named Richard, or not so little. He was actually a full whopping 8 pounds. I am happy and sad to report that he found his forever home. He was adopted out just the other day, and that was kind of a bittersweet thing because if our bunnies would have gotten along, which there's a plethora of reasons why that wasn't the case, and I can go over that at some point. But in short, if they would have gotten along, we actually toyed with the idea of really keeping him and making him part of our tiny homestead forever. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and it was the more kind thing to do for Richard the bunny to rehome him permanently in a home where he can free roam all the time and has another bunny partner that he can bond with and just live a happy life away from our chaos, which he, as a really shy bunny, just really didn't thrive in. Today's video is more about introducing the other little guy, Arlo, which is the reason why Richard had to get rehomed, so it is bittersweet. Arlo is a little Holland Lop that we got a few months ago. The only reason why we got him originally was because our kids had to give up the foster ducks we had once they grew up and were fully feathered and just needed more space than in town in a small yard like it was for us. So we wound up rehoming them to a fantastic little place outside of town with ponds, a duck house, a family that really loves them, and we continue to get these amazing updates on how they're doing. They have most of the hens and a couple of drakes. They're hoping for some eggs this next season. So I will blend in a couple of clips, but this meet Arlo, our little Holland Lop. He's currently 5 months old and he still has a lot of sass and a lot of learning to do, but we love him and he's going to be forever part of our home. As you can see in the background, this is his little house slash castle. We call him King Arlo because he's quite the complicated, spoiled little guy. He is not yet at all cuddly or anything, but here are a couple of reasons why I think that people should really think carefully before they get a bunny. Number one, to be giving them a great life, you need way more space than you might think. Pet stores and advertising really shows things like these little rabbit cages, and yes, you might let them out and play with them, but really I found out that Arlo is constantly roaming. If he's not napping or eating, he's roaming, exploring, digging, chewing things, and playing. So it's really important for bunnies to have a ton of space. This is his home base, which is never locked. It's just a little home base that's sort of like his den. He has a castle, his hay. You can see that in this corner right here. His hay box, it's also his litter box, some pellets, a little house, and the little bed in the background here. But that is not where he lives full time. He does spend time in there. He loves lounging and hiding in his little castle for naps, but he really has access 24/7 to the entire room. And I will try my best to make, there he is, to the entire room at a minimum. So at night currently, while he's locked away just for the night, we close this room, but his entire room is bunny proofed and it's his. He has tunnels, he has another hidey house, he has a little fountain for water, he has a hammock and a big rug so he doesn't slip around. And during the day, this door is actually open and he gets to free roam in this whole level of the house, which is a couple more bedrooms, a bathroom, and we hang out up here quite a bit during the day. We're home full time, so he's really not alone a lot or not getting any attention. Number two, the next thing that I learned, if you're ever into, wanting bunnies, that I kind of not learned the hard way, but that's actually a really important piece of owning bunnies, is their diet. I highly recommend you do some really good research on their dietary needs. It's not complicated, but you do need to get it right, because what they can get is called GI stasis pretty easily, which is where their gut stops moving, and that can actually be fatal pretty quickly for a little bunny. They should be kind of eating almost all the time, unless he's napping or roaming or hopping around. He's almost always checking out his hay pile, or eating a couple pellets or some treats and greens. The general rule that I've learned is kind of 80 to 90% hay. Ideally 90% of his hay, high quality, is important. If you can get about 80% in, that's still okay, I think. And the rest, like 5% and 5%, should be vegetable and treats and pellets. So that should make up about 10 to 15% maximum. So many people seem to overfeed on pellets. That was the case with our rescue bunny Richard. He was pretty hefty and a bit too fat because he had free access to an auto feeder of pellets, which was not ideal, especially for a grown-up bunny. Really quick on that dietary thing is when your bunny is less than 6 months old, they need alfalfa hay and alfalfa-based young rabbit pellets. And once they're 6 months and beyond, you can start transitioning them into like Timothy hay or orchard grass hay, other hays that are less rich in all that calcium and stuff that little bunnies need for their growth. Again, that's when you also start restricting the pellets more. So there's a way to measure online how the weight of your bunny and how many pellets per day they should be getting at the most. Because if you overfeed on pellets, they will eat way more of it and not enough of their hay, which again is then they have a weight problem. It's not the healthiest for them. It's almost like a treat or candy for them. These pellets, they're just so easy and flavorful, and it's much more important that they actually chomp away at their hay for the most part. That's the second point that I learned big time for bunnies. The next thing is the third point, and that's another really big one for me, because I feel like the advertising and the videos online really show so much about like these cute cuddly bunnies, and people scoop them up and they cuddle them, and honestly for a lot of us that is not the case. Bunnies are prey animals and they really don't like being picked up, especially as long as they're not comfortable yet. And so that was the same for Arlo. I naively came into bunny ownership by getting him from a breeder, and that's another side tangent. I really now wish I would have just gotten the rescue bunny, though we actually are in a town where you don't really find a lot of bunnies that need homes. So that's really a great thing in some ways, and even the rescues are a couple of hours away from us, so our town seems to be pretty responsible when it comes to bunny ownership, it seems like. So yeah, I got him from a breeder, full disclosure. I wish I would have rescued, but it just kind of happened that way. And he's a Holland Lop bunny. The third big point on that is the breeder said that he was very easy to handle, he was great with kids and all that sort of stuff. So I saw her pick the bunny up, no problem, put him in the carrier that I brought, and everything was fine, and I brought him home. And I got him out of the carrier and he was fine. Now, turns out I think he was just frozen in fear, because as soon as he started getting a little bit more comfortable, like a day or two later, and started to explore his space and hop around, I did let him out of his X-pen a little bit to explore, and when it was time to put him back in, I didn't think anything of it, and I just tried to pick him up to put him in, and he bit me on my finger so hard that I was dripping blood on the floor. And that was a huge disappointment and a scary moment, and I was completely like, whoa, this is not what I expected. I have little kids at home. This is dangerous. Like, what is happening? So that's when I started really digging into the whole psychology of bunnies and how to handle them, and that they actually need months sometimes of time to get comfortable with their space and really learn their new owners and their surroundings, and just kind of, not be so skittish and afraid of everything. I also learned that, bunnies never get picked up by their parents when they're born, so they're not used to having their feet off the ground. So all that to say, bunnies are advertised as this thing that's cuddly and amazing and fluffy, and we all love it. But then the reality hits when you take your bunny home and it bites, it runs away from you, it hides, it wants nothing to do with you. That's when you realize, oh my goodness, so there's actually bonding time that has to happen. And you have to have an enormous amount of patience and put time and energy and money into this animal first for a long time before they hopefully grace you with a little bit of affection. So that's a lot of us. I am in a bunny group on Facebook, and I see this every day where people ask for help. And it's always either GI stasis problems and digestive issues. They ask about dietary needs and problems, or they ask, like, my bunny is biting, he's territorial, he or she is just not coming to me, doesn't want to interact with me, hates being picked up. And so, yes, that is a really big thing that I feel like advertising online and people's videos often really overlook, that most bunnies, once they're past that frozen in fear factor, they're really not as easy to handle. They'll hop away, they'll run away, and if you hold them too tight, they might even bite, like in my case. The next thing too on that is the grooming gets really hard, because if you can't hold your bunny and he bites and he squirms and he freaks out, how are you going to cut their nails or groom them? Arlo so far had a neuter and a checkup, and he's nudging me right now, so I'm moving a little bit to give him some space to hop past me. He had his vet checkup a couple weeks after we got him, and he also got neutered, so they did a complimentary nail clip and all that. So right now he's good to go on that for a little while. But I just want to really put that out there, that these kinds of things, the daily care and maintenance, are not that easy when you have a bunny that's not complying with what you're trying to do. And I feel like that maybe is a big cause of why bunnies wind up either released in the wild, which they shouldn't ever be, because they have zero chance of survival, or wind up in shelters, or people just neglecting them because they get bored of it and they're surprised with the amount of work that goes into these little guys, and the amount of bonding and time and patience and calm environment you have to put into them for them to finally open their hearts to you and actually become that cuddly, fluffy thing that you were hoping for. Now, I do know that there's a lot of people in this group that I'm in too that actually have that bunny that licks them and loves them and is super affectionate, but I just want to say that Arlo is probably a pretty average and normal bunny, and he's none of that. I've had him now for just about 3 months, and he is still a bit standoffish, though he likes to interact, but it needs to be on his terms. And I'm still giving him that time and respect by just spending time in his space. I make it nice and cozy. He has a south-facing window, he has fresh air, he has toys, he has enrichment, and I'm in here a lot working on my laptop and just spending time when I can. So, it kind of seems so silly in some ways, because people are used to pets in terms of cats and dogs, and they run through the whole house and they're very interactive because they're predators. And bunnies are just such a different type of species that the treatment of them is vastly different than I expected. So nevertheless, he is absolutely amazing, and I love him, and I love spoiling him. I also really love becoming more and more of an educated bunny parent, making him happy and giving him the environment he needs. And I'm going to show you guys right now, because he's just cute, flopping right now. So that's kind of my day when I'm working. I sit on the floor with a pillow and watch him just flop, and sometimes he actually does enjoy pets and scratches. Yesterday was the first day he actually jumped on my lap where I had little dried apple treats, and he jumped up and ate them. So that was a big step for me. But I just want to really set the expectation right that, depending on the type of bunny you're getting and what they've been through in the past, and maybe they're still little and teenagers and crazy, it isn't all rainbows and sunshine. It could be pretty difficult and a lot of work initially to make sure that it's an appropriate environment for them, that they have space to run and roam. But I promise you, it's actually really rewarding when they do start to take those little steps to more trust and bonding. Arlo's little love language went from nipping to slowly, carefully nipping my pants, for example, and exploring and nudging and putting his front paws on my legs. So that's where we're at this point. and the flopping. He's clearly comfortable and happy. He just really does not want to be cuddled. And I think that he might never be a bunny that loves cuddling, and that's okay, right? We have to just make sure that we are okay with the sort of relationship we have with that individual animal and how much they tolerate. For example, my dog, she's a rescue, and she absolutely loves being in my personal space and always wants to sit on me and lick me and sleep in the bed, and so I get all the cuddles from there. And a lot of people would also say that maybe a household with dogs and bunnies is a bad combination, and I think in a lot of ways it is. We just are in a really unique situation. The way our floor plan is, we can actually separate the two pretty much completely, and it's safe for everyone. And our dogs already don't really have a prey drive or care much about him. Anytime they see him, they just keep walking by, even though I have a barrier in between. Arlo doesn't seem to mind them either, but I would never let them just coexist in a space where there is no boundary or barrier or one of us present. I would expect that there eventually be some sort of prey drive issue or playing issue. Arlo is very small. Bunny's spines are extremely vulnerable and sensitive, so I would never want to risk Arlo's health and well-being because of a dog being present. So if you do have other pets, especially dogs, just keep that in mind, that I don't think it's a good idea to let them coexist unless you're 100% there and sure that you can manage the situation, whether that's with a leash or something. But everyone's situation is different, everybody's dog is different, so I think that everybody can make that call themselves. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because that is part of our life now. We're also remodeling right now, so you can see a couple of things on the wall here. We're trying to paint the whole house right now. And the dogs are barking downstairs. That's the typical chaos of my day. But yeah, I feel like our little homestead just kind of keeps changing. We've taken rescues, we rehome them, we garden. It's actually just the time right now for us this week to start pulling our plants out probably, which is kind of disappointing, but it's cold enough now in Montana that nothing is anymore producing. So I'm probably gonna have a couple videos on how to clean up our yard and how to get it ready for the next season, put the garlic in, and all the stuff that actually needs to overwinter, so that'll be fun. But anyway, thank you for watching, and if you were interested in getting a bunny, I hope this kind of clarified a few things and set some expectations be more realistic. And I also have some really fun ideas how to develop Arlo space to be even more fun and exciting, and maybe in the future, once he's actually bonded and settled in with us, and when he's actually a grown-up, I might even give him a little wifey. We'll see how he does. But yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.